Ever wonder why some companies just seem to get smarter while others, well, they just get cheaper? It often boils down to this one really powerful idea: value analysis. And it's all about looking way beyond the price tag to figure out what really makes something tick. So let's dive right in. All right, so let me kick things off with a question for you. What's the true value of anything? Is it just the cost, the number you see on the tag? For a long, long time, that was pretty much the only thing people focused on. But let's be real. In the kind of global market we're in today, that thinking, it just doesn't cut it anymore. And this lays out the shift perfectly. Over on the left, you've got price tag thinking. It's totally focused on cost. The goal is just cheaper. The tactic? Cutting. And the outlook is super short term. But then look at the right. That's value analysis thinking. The focus here is on function. The goal isn't just to be cheaper, it's to be smarter. The tactic is innovating, and it's all about the long game. We're talking about a completely different mindset. Okay, so here's the game plan for how we're going to unpack all this. First, we'll look beyond simple cost cutting. Then we'll dive into the modern manager's playbook. After that, we're jumping to the future frontier. Then we'll see what happens when you mix this with new tech and value analysis 2.0. And finally, we'll bring it all home and talk about putting theory into practice. All right, first stop, moving beyond just hacking away at costs. Because in the world we live in now, value means something totally different. And this quote, it absolutely nails it. Look, anyone can slash a budget, right? That's the easy part, but it's just a short-term fix. The real win, the thing that actually matters, is creating value that leads to lasting profits and makes you a stronger player in the market. This is what shifts value analysis from just a way to survive into a powerful engine for growth. Okay, so let's get practical. How does this all play out in the real world? We're diving into the modern manager's playbook now, looking at how these big ideas actually shape the decisions people make every single day. Now, before we jump in, let's quickly clear up a key term you're going to see: capital structure. It sounds complicated, but it's not. All it means is, where does a company's money come from? Is it debt like a loan, or is it equity, money from its own profits or from investors? Getting that mix right is absolutely critical. And that brings us right to a huge dilemma for any manager. Recent research really shines a light on this. Imagine you have a new project. Do you fund it with your own cash, or do you go out and get a loan? The choice you make has this massive ripple effect on the company's value and its profits. It's all about nailing that perfect financial balance. So how on earth do managers make that call? Well, they don't just guess. They have a whole toolkit of financial models that help them peer into the future. You've got things like the dividend discount model or free cash flow models. Basically, some of these tools help predict how much money a project might make down the road. Others are like financial stress tests. They show you how a decision might hold up if the economy takes a turn. Now, they're not crystal balls, but man, they are powerful for making smart, data-driven bets. All right, let's shift gears and look ahead. This is where things get really interesting. We're talking about the future frontier of value analysis. And trust me, this field is moving at lightning speed. I mean, the new research popping up is just fascinating. You're seeing stuff like extreme value analysis, which is really just a sophisticated way of asking, how do we get ready for those rare but massive high-impact events? Think about it. How do you factor in huge environmental or tech shifts? Like, what's the real cost if a factory is suddenly in a flood zone? And it gets even wilder. We're now pulling in ideas from totally different fields, like figuring out the value of a cultural landmark or even new media. The whole point is to stretch our definition of what value even means. And here's the key takeaway. This has totally become a team sport. Just look at how these different fields are pitching in. Data science, that's giving us the power to predict risks. Engineering, that's how we integrate all this digital transformation. And even sociology is playing a huge part, helping us measure things we used to think were unmeasurable, like social impact or a company's reputation. And that stuff, it turns out, can have a massive impact on the bottom line. And all of this leads us straight into what we can call Value Analysis 2.0. This is the moment where this whole concept smashes right into Industry 4.0. The whole rise of smart factories, automation, and interconnected systems. It's a total game changer. And let me just pause here to say, this is not some sci-fi theory we're talking about. This is real, and it's happening right now. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it's basically a three-step dance. Step 1, you've got real-time monitoring. Think sensors everywhere, collecting data constantly. Step 2, You use predictive analytics to sift through all that data and spot what's coming next, good or bad. And step 3, you build systems that can make automated adjustments on the fly, constantly tweaking for the best possible outcome. It's like a living, breathing system. And the amazing thing is, all this technology lets us blow up the old definition of value. Because we have so much more data, we can finally start to properly measure and manage for things that used to be fuzzy, like safety, quality, and even a company's social impact. These aren't just nice-to-haves anymore. They're becoming core parts of the value equation. Which brings us to our final, and maybe most important piece of the puzzle, going from theory to practice. I mean, it's great to talk about all this, but how do we actually build a generation of people who know how to do it? You know, the biggest hurdle is closing that gap between what you learn in a classroom and what happens in the real world. You just can't learn this stuff from a textbook. It's about getting your hands dirty with applied learning and real data. But even more than that, it's about fostering a whole new strategic mindset, one that's always balancing cost, quality, and value. And honestly, that kind of thinking only develops when schools and industries team up and work together. When you boil it all down, it comes back to this one powerful idea. The goal here isn't just to survive when things get uncertain. It's about building a company that is so smart, so agile, that it can actually thrive in the middle of all that chaos. So I'll leave you with this to think about. If we agree that value is way more than just the price tag, then the real question for you is, how is your organization going to measure what truly matters tomorrow?